So it's another cold as fuck day up in the frozen north, and a buddy subscriber of mine says something to me about let me make a video for you of my suppressed full-size HK45, my USP. I said, hey, go for it, but before you do, I'm gonna get the jump on you and bring mine back out. I'm not necessarily wanting to make a review on the suppressor, but I got these flush, I got a flush magazine, 8-round magazine. I got this so when I do conceal this gun, which in the state I'm from, I almost strictly open carry, but when I do conceal it, it's not, the 10-round, extended 10-round mags aren't like poking out my shirt looking like a fucking bent pecker, you know? So I wanted to just shoot it and get a feel for these. The other one I got, it just has a few rounds. It has the little lip on it, and I hate that. I think I hate it. I'm gonna shoot it and see if I hate it. But I really like the flush feel. Kind of feels like this grip feels, minus the finger grooves, exactly like my Glock 19. And I only brought the suppressor out to avoid hearing protection, avoid things in my ears. I also want to talk about the flat nickel spring, the enhanced sear spring, nickel sear spring. I've got a good 50 or 60 dry fire rounds on the thing, and I want to actually shoot it live. Not that there will be any difference, but I want to shoot it for real and see, you know, just how it feels. I mean, it feels good. I can't even speak today. It feels good when I dry fire, but I want to shoot it with live ammo and just see that difference, you know. I've got that crazy Tula ammo, which I guess is doing okay because I can press check the gun now without it sticking. So from the double action, I'll give this a roll. I did some adjusting to my steel plates that I shoot, and I'm afraid to get too close at first. So wow. I gotta be honest with you. First of all, your mileage is gonna vary on the flat nickel spring for this reason. If you do not polish your internals like I've done, you will not probably feel the same feel that I'm feeling. I also did the spring work. You've seen all those videos quite possibly. You know everything. And everything gets you a little bit. So if you do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there and a little bit there, and next thing you know, you have this really cool trigger job. If you just do one thing, that's all you're gonna notice. I actually notice like this much. I think the only better trigger job you could get, other than what I've done, is to send it out to Great Guns and let them work it over, because what they do is they nickel boron all your internals, and they put an internal over travel stop, and they shorten the reset, and they shorten the length of pull on the double action. They do a lot of things that is super duper, you know, but it's also like a $300 or $400 trigger job. I did what I like to call like the poor man's, the Billy Bubba trigger job, so to speak. I just polished everything and swapped some springs around and did the shorten the hammer spring a couple coils. Shooting with this flat base plate doesn't make or break. It feels really good. we'll swap over to the finger rest, see if the finger rest itself, really is not going to do anything for me. I don't know if you can see that all that well, but I'm not really utilizing, I don't know how well you can see this, the finger rest itself. My hand sits on the frame, on the grip, pretty well. I've got small hands, but a big pecker. Oh, drop free, you fucker. There you go. Little smoky. Poor little dirty magazine now. This is really cool. I don't think anyone's gonna say, wow, dude, your gun's fucking fucked up. I'm just totally thrilled with this. Let's not talk about the gun. Let's talk about that spring, though. I've talked about the gun a lot. Trigger pull's great. My trigger, I've had a lot of series on this trigger job. You know, this gun itself, what I like to call the 45 Enhanced Combat Pistol, ECP. And as it sits, it's done. I've got a really cool holster you've seen, and I've put the last piece to the puzzle in the gun itself. If you see the older video of the very first upload of my other 45 compact that I got rid of, I've done everything to it except the nickeled sear spring, but I did everything else to it that's done to this one. And adding that nickel sear spring is the icing on the cake. Now it could get better, like I said, go to Gray Guns, but I'm not going to do that. I'm satisfied with this. I think the trigger's heavy enough, but it's also light enough. It's on double action. It feels really, really good. It's not like a SIG 250 double action, and it's not like the LEM, HK LEM double action. It's not that. But also at the same time, it's got a single action where those guns don't have. So the double action is good enough. I carry this loaded and decocked. I carry this on double action. So the double action is good enough so that when you're making that first shot, it's light and it's smooth enough. And it's smooth, it's very smooth because of the polish work I did. That did like 75% of the smoothness comes from that, but that last 35 or the last 25% of that comes from that nickeled sear spring. The factory sear spring is just a steel spring black oxided. Black oxide, as you know, has that grit. It looks very gritty, and that's what you're feeling if you just polish your internals. Now, could you take that out and polish it? You probably could. Would you get the same feel as the nickel one? I'm not sure. Could you take it out? I could have taken that out and polished it really well, and then took it up to a buddy and had it nickel boroned. But they would have probably charged me between $5 and $10 to bore on it, and I just bought it off HK for $3. Now I've got an extra one set back in case, I don't know, maybe this one like flies out or some shit, you know. But if you do all that work and you polish everything and you clip your hammer spring and you put the match trigger return spring in, and then you put that, you're gonna have, I'm telling you, a fantastic trigger. The only thing left that I could quite possibly think of buying, and I don't know if it's worth it, I don't know if I'd notice anything except that I'm $50 lighter in the wallet, is the titanium firing pin over at HK Parts. I've thought about possibly picking that up, but I don't know if if you notice anything, because I don't think I made a video of this, but I lightened my own striker in my Glock. I milled it, drilled the holes through it, just like what you would find like on eBay or from Zev. And that lets you run a lighter spring, I know, which also, you know, all those springs in a Glock really change how the trigger feels. And I can get possibly lightening it to go to a lighter spring. In the HK, whether you have a super heavy firing pin or a super light firing pin or a super heavy extra power firing pin spring, I don't see you getting any better trigger feel whatsoever. So the only thing I can see the benefit of a titanium firing pin is the factory firing pin spring will push that faster and harder into the firing pin. Offhand, I'm no engineer, but offhand, that's the only benefit I can see, is you not having to go do extra powered spring for harder primers. But don't quote me on that, because I'm no engineer. But the way I think in my mind how the firing pin block spring and all that works, there used to be a time where you could get a lighter firing pin block spring, which would help for the trigger, because, you know, as things are moving, it's got to push up that firing pin block to, you know, let that firing pin go through, and thus if it was lighter, then the resistance would be smoother. But now I think all of the firing pin block springs, there is no match one now. It's just the match one is now the standard, because I remember back in the day doing a light, I don't know if they called it a light firing pin block spring or a match firing pin block spring or what, but I remember you could buy those. And when I went to order them for this gun, the guy goes, "Oh, it's just that one now." So but that's cool. I guess I'm gonna go in and just clean this gun. It's not super dirty, but I'm gonna clean it. And then I've thought about KG Gun Coats offers a, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a chrome gold paint, which is like gold mirror. And I've thought about doing that on this. I like the dull gold, but I think, man, the chrome gold, especially on my AR carriers, would look pretty cool. So we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of two reviews in one. That's the flat trigger, or the flat nickel spring, sear spring. And then for anyone who's thought about flat floor plates, if your hand fits on this well, then flat ones will work, and they'll be better to conceal than these bigger, well, these extended finger rests. I'm not really a big proponent of them. The nice thing about it is there's something to grab when you're doing a quick reload. You've got something to grab, versus grabbing these, which there's nothing to grab but the magazine itself. And so that's the advantage I see. So anyone out there who wants one of these, if you'll trade me a flat one for this one, we'll do an even trade. But that's it. That's it. This gun rocks, and if you guys have any questions, cool. Otherwise, I'm gonna go get this uploaded and clean this thing out a little bit. So take care.